Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Bookers Alliance podcast. Come on inside the house, bring yourself up a ringside seat, get your soda, your popcorn, your whiskey, maybe your wallet, because they're charging more for them seats these days.
Oh, yeah.
Come on inside the house, listen to what we got to say today. We got WWE TKO Whiplash.
Yeah, I mean, backlash is coming up, but hell, the way the company's going, the way the business has been operating over these last 2 weeks since WrestleMania, it's giving me whiplash over here. So yeah, hell, every time I turn around, they got me whip my head to the right. Then they say, wait a minute, somebody got cut. Wait, whip my head to the left.
I whip my head back and forth.
Then they say, well, God, we need you to cut some pay. Wait a minute. Hell, they got me looking left and right. I'm just happy to know our production team hasn't asked me to cut 50% of my pay to continue doing this podcast.
Amen.
Because if they start doing that, they're getting 20 minutes out of me from now. I'll cut my time in half if I'm cutting.
We would have to look at them and go, it's a new day. Yes, it is.
Yeah, right. Or whatever So I've heard rumors of the new era moving on to somewhere else. So we might have, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But before we talk, we got to give a sponsor, and then we got to give a special shout out. So the sponsor for this week got Dalmore Cigar Malt Reserve Highland Single Malt Scotch Whiskey.
Yeah, Dalmore done melted all my ice, and we ain't even started yet.
Sounds fancy though, don't it?
Yeah, don't it?
But we got to give, since it is fancy, we got to give a shout out to a certain billionaire that unfortunately has left us, but some great memories from his time, whether it be from WCW wrestling or to the Atlanta Braves, because being a Braves fan here. But we're talking about Ted Turner. Ted Turner passed away today. So Ted, wherever you're at, I hope you're giving them hell, sir.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I see that. I get the smoky.
Yep.
I definitely get that.
Smoky.
Yeah.
Fig.
I get that. I also get the scotch. You know, you could get that scotch flavor in there. You can definitely tell the difference between, the more obviously, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known any difference at all. I don't even know if I knew they were the same drink, but you could tell the difference between a whiskey, a bourbon, a scotch, things like that. So you could definitely taste the scotch in it. It has the right amount of kick for it, but it's all, like you said, it's also got the flavor in there. You could taste those fruity flavors in there that give it, its own little taste.
Now, had we been in our cigar bar, we could have had a cigar with it, but producers, they ain't paying for that apparently.
Yeah, no, that was part of the pay cut.
Yeah, so we had to take the allowance somewhere.
Yeah, that was our pay cut. But no, I mean, talking about Ted Turner, I mean, hey, let's talk about it. As far as wrestling goes, Vince McMahon Jr. ran roughshod through wrestling, at his start. He put AWA out of business. Vern Gagne, he put the Crockett's out of business. And NWA, he put Mid-South out, Texas out. Basically everybody fell to the power of the WWF at the time until 1988 when Ted Turner came along and bought WCW and put real money behind a wrestling promotion, because the guys that were doing it, they were mom and pop shops essentially, right? Like, they rose to prominence, but they didn't have self-made money behind it. They had wrestling money behind a wrestling promotion to push it to. Even Vince McMahon himself, he used wrestling money that he got working with his dad, that he could barter up, amongst investors and things like that. But Ted came in and actually had that established wealth to put behind a wrestling company that he believed in.
He did. And I mean, when Ted kind of took over with things, I was listening to a bit today that Bischoff was doing with LaGreca and Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, I checked that out.
He was talking about them Bischoff. By the way, Bischoff, brother, I don't know what you're taking at your age, but damn, share your secret, brother.
So he's on that all meat diet.
You are jacked.
I looked into that. He's been doing that carnivore diet thing, so I might have to look into that. Lord knows I don't feel like cooking steak at 9 o'clock in the morning every day, but maybe something to look into.
But listening to him talk, just his admiration for Ted. Just Ted kind of acknowledging Ted. Look, the life I live is because of Ted Turner.
Yeah.
And
A lot of guys have that to say.
Yeah.
You're talking your Kevin Nash,
Yeah.
Scott Hall's family.
Kevin Nash sent a tweet out today. It was like, "Thank you to the boss man." Like he was acknowledging, Ted was the one that kind of defined his career.
Yeah.
But when Ted kind of took over WCW, I knew the name because of Turner Field.
Yeah.
Because of the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
So I had seen him on TV before. I kind of knew who he was. He wasn't too much in the forefront in WCW. He let Bischoff carry that role.
Yeah, absolutely. I only heard of him because when I did find NWA/WCW wrestling, it was on TBS, and they at the time, acronyms weren't really a big thing. It wasn't a TBS thing. You heard more along the lines of like Turner Broadcasting Systems and things like that. So I was like, hey, who's Turner? Then you find out, oh, Ted Turner, he owns the Braves, like you said. He's started CNN, and you're like, wait a minute, started CNN, owns, TBS. Then later on down the road, found out Turner Network Television, TNT. It's like, wait a minute, this guy's got an awful lot to do here in the media industry. Let me look more into it. Well, by the time I got of age enough to look into that and actually be curious about it, that's when the whole WWF WCW war started, and we started getting billionaire Ted skits and things like that. So
a lot of people may not even know Ted Turner except for the billionaire Ted skits. I mean, when you think about it, because during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, WWF at the time had spun up, kind of a slander campaign. Billionaire Ted only worries about the old guys and wrestling. And they had spoofs of the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan,
and the
Huckster,
Scheme Gene.
Scheme Gene. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But and
all of who returned back to WWE except Macho Man.
Well, he couldn't.
Yeah. Well,
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, true.
So, but listening to Bischoff talk about, Ted himself even got a kick out of that, watching those videos. So that just kind of lets you know the temperament, the kind of man he was. And then, came that unfaithful day when he had to sell the business and it sold it to AOL. And we all know what happened to WCW after AOL
that definitely
took over.
Led to the demise. And again, when you look at it now, it kind of mirrors today's society an awful lot.
This ain't a stark warning.
I mean, at that point, because when Ted was in charge, when Ted Turner was in charge, he was kind of like that hovering angel over WCW because he was interested in the product. He made sure the product kept going. He kept putting money into it. Even when it was losing money, he kept putting more money into it. He said, hey, I see potential in this. I see a win in this. But eventually, the dollar signs came and Ted said, well, hey, gotta sell it. Everybody should be okay. Well, once once Time Warner and AOL got their hands on WCW, they realized professional wrestling ain't the cash cow that they thought it was. And all of a sudden it started to go away. Well, the reason I say it mirrors today's image is because Vince was the Ted Turner for WWF, WWE. Now that Vince is gone, we're starting to see corporate business practices take place in wrestling, and we don't like what we see. This is exactly what Bischoff talks about, when the demise of WCW. This is exactly what all the guys that were, head honchos talked about. Was it started like this, little bit here, little bit there, but corporate operations took control of a quote unquote family owned business, and it didn't feel so family anymore.
It's interesting the way that history is always destined to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And, we hope that that's not happening in this case, but it very well could.
Yeah, you just have to keep your eyes open to see.
Yeah.
But there's more to talk about on that. We got to get to it. We can't talk about it just yet.
So
let's not talk about it.
Let's not talk about it. Well, let's talk about Backlash. Let's get into that now. Backlash is coming together. 2 weeks ago, we just had WrestleMania.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Now we're 3 days removed from Backlash.
2 weeks ago. Jesus.
I mean, we ain't even really got the fallout of WrestleMania yet. Have we even seen Cody in the ring since WrestleMania?
Not to fight, no.
Yeah, so I mean,
we did. We saw him against Ricky Saints.
Did we though?
Ooh.
Yeah, did we though? Because I mean, I saw a lot of TVs turn the channel when that match came on. Don't get me wrong, I get it. You're introducing a new star, but Me personally, I remembered when they introduced Carmelo Hayes to the main roster, and he wrestled Cody on his first night, and he lost, and he's been swimming around in mid card ever since.
So Cody is being parlayed off of Backlash because he's going to have the main event for Saturday night's main event. Mm-hmm. That's where that's coming up, because you've got a Saturday night's main event in between Backlash and Clash in Italy, I believe.
Okay, Clash in Italy is like end of July, I think.
No, end of May.
End of May, yeah. Okay, yeah. So end of May. That's right. Roman won't be around in June, so it has to be in May.
You got a.
So we had Mania 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, then you got Backlash.
We got Backlash. That's 3 weeks out to the day.
Another 2 weeks you get Saturday night's main event, and now another 2 weeks you get Clash in Italy.
Holy hell! So how many?
What are we doing?
How many streaming services are we gonna have to download to cover this?
At least 30.
Oh God. And then if you still want to keep track of the regular shows, you're still downloading your regular YouTube TVs or your direct TVs or whatever in the case may be to get your USA. And I just gave up on CW. I'll be honest. I can't even lie about it. Hell, NXT, I just had to give up on it.
Well, that's where your NXT PLEs are happening now. Is on the CW. You getting them for free.
Well, great. So at least if I get time to watch one of them, but I mean, I'm swimming in so many streaming services right now.
So here's the problem, and we're going to talk about Backlash. But here is the problem that I'm getting to as a sports fan, not even wrestling fan.
Yeah, this is across.
This is transcending wrestling. This is sports in general.
Yeah,
the fact that all of the sports, and I'm a sports heavy guy. The fact that all of the sports that I love to watch are being bastardized between all of these streaming services, I feel like I am being a Star Wars fan with Disney. Like, I'm having to buy Disney Plus and all this other shit just to watch Star Wars now.
Oh, don't give them the idea of Disney Plus. If they find out that thing exists, we'll have something on that next week. God, stop. Cut that part. Edit that part out. Holy hell, get that part out. If they find out there's Disney Plus out there, we'll definitely have something on there. Edit that out.
But as a sports fan, I'm fed up with all this bullshit as far as streaming services and all the other platforms I got to go to watch sports now. But
yeah, I don't mind that they exist and all that, but there should still be a regular hub. If you just buy regular TV, it should still be available on regular TV, but they've eliminated that now, and that part
simulcast it, but no, we can't do that either.
No.
Anyhow, getting back to Backlash. So there's a couple things I want to talk about real quick with Backlash before we move on to our Whiplash.
Yeah.
All right, Backlash. First things first, we got a couple matches in the hopper for Backlash. You've got EO versus Asuka.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one. I want to see where that goes.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it already before, though.
Have we? Have we ever actually seen that match? I feel like they've teased it for the 4 years that EO's been on the main roster, but I don't know if we've ever gotten there.
I don't think they have tangled in a 101. Yeah. It's been tags and everywhere else. Here's what I do like, though. I like the story they're spinning out of it. I like the whole, kind of Padawan Jedi Master type of deal. It's, student versus teacher.
Mentor-mentee type thing. Yeah.
I like that. So I'm down to see that match.
Is there any world possible where Kyrie comes back and interferes in that match?
The believers out there are saying that it's hopeful, but at this point with TKO, I ain't believing shit until I see it with my own eyes.
You got that right. So unfortunately, they're surprising us, but not in a good way.
No.
Like if we get something like that, the problem with that, though, is, and we'll get there, obviously we're coming to it. The problem with that is, and I'll touch on it just with Kyrie, is if you announce that somebody's released and then fan backlash causes you to bring it back, i.e. R-Truth.
Yep.
What precedent does that set? Why are we releasing these people?
Why are we releasing them?
If you're going to end up bringing it back. Now, in R-Truth's case, apparently he did renegotiate his contract. From what Triple H said on Unreal, the idea was we didn't want to let you go. We wanted him to renegotiate. He wasn't down to renegotiate, so they cut him. Well, then he renegotiated. But are we going to strong arm every talent that way? Are we, do we have to cut everybody and then hope they come back to the table?
It appears so.
It looks that way. So we're not going to talk about Backlash. I can't get off of this TKO nonsense. So yeah, let's dive right into Backlash so we can get it in and get it out.
So you got Trick and Sami Zayn's running it back.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I look. Everybody everybody's kind of kind of it's polarizing as far as the gingerbread stuff. Look,
I think that's done. Hopefully we get the funeral.
We get the funeral for it, and it'll be the end of it, I believe. But at the same time, I don't mind it. I do like the fact that Trick's taking it a little tongue in cheek, and he's like serious about the gingerbread man. You know,
he is. But I've seen that in WWE before, where they give good characters who got a lot of momentum some dumb nonsense,
shit to try to get over.
Yeah, and then eventually it ends up causing them to crash and burn.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this doesn't turn into a detractor, and it's just like, you know, a footnote in the story of Trick Williams.
You got Danhausen in a tag match with a mystery partner versus The Miz and whoever metrosexual guy is.
Does Triple H know anything besides mystery, some shit or another? Does everything have to be a surprise or a shock?
But this is the second chance for a hooded mystery opponent that could show up in a fight.
It should be Pat McAfee. Why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, hell.
All right. Here's one thing I really want to kind of get into real quick. Seeing a lot of noise in the past few days since John Cena announced that he's going to be at Backlash with a history-making announcement.
Danhausen's partner. He's going to come out of retirement.
I don't think it's that.
5 months.
I don't think it's that.
Yeah, if he does, I never want to see John Cena again.
Yeah, same.
That's ridiculous.
I'm going to give you what I think it is, and then I'm going to give you what I hope it is.
All right. When you get done with all that, I'll tell you what I know it is.
Okay. I think it's the whole WWE club bullshit.
That's what I know it is.
Yeah,
he's going to come out there and he's going to offer up, because apparently that's like $10 a month.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to offer you some free shit with it and be like, you get 1 month free if you take it. And
TKO, as many hoops as I'm having to jump through to watch your shit, you ain't squeezing another dime out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Sorry.
I don't care if I get first access to everything, unless you're giving me a job with it or you're putting this podcast on your network.
Yeah, you let us put our podcast on your network, then hey, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm right. I'll be more than happy to give you another $10 a month. But if I've got to stream 7 different streamers to watch 4 different shows, I ain't paying for whatever the club is.
Because you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like, hey, if you got WWE Club, the first hour of WrestleMania, you get free and only you.
Yeah, like except for all the people that are watching on ESPN. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there.
All right,
but I know there's going to be some quirky gift in there with it or whatnot. But I feel like the gift ain't going to be big. It ain't going to be John Cena coming to my house and watching the pay-per-view with me. So he ain't going to tell me nothing good enough.
So that's what I think it is.
Yeah, that's definitely what I think it is.
Here's what I hope it is. And this is where a lot of people are leaning into the mystery of it all.
Ugh.
Okay. We had an episode last week. What was our episode last week?
Well, bitching about TKO.
That's every episode.
That is every episode now at this point.
But our episode last week was WrestleMania Resurrection.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that though, guys. We are bitching about TKO a lot. We apologize, but we know y'all are feeling the pain too.
So we talked about how night 1 Raw, night 2 SmackDown could be an idea.
I love it.
There's some rumors that maybe they're taking our idea, but they're going to do it a different way.
I'm sure they'll screw us out of that, but why not?
The rumor is WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights. 2 different locations.
So I've heard that.
The first one will be Saudi. Second is London.
I didn't hear that.
Now, to tie this back to John Cena, where was John Cena when he came out in the middle of the ring and said, I think this city needs a WrestleMania. I think it's time.
Yeah, he was.
He was in London.
Yeah, he was over there. So
that's and there's also a lot of talk about, well, this is also their contingency plan with the war going on. If they can't do it in Saudi, you already have another location set up and ready to go with a WrestleMania stage that you could pull the trigger on at any moment and go, okay, sorry guys, both nights you're going to have to be here.
It's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
That actually would function better than having it in 2 separate locations, because I get the 2 separate locations for the appeal. But let's be honest about it, right? You're not going to get the crowd that WrestleMania is supposed to draw in Saudi. That'll never happen. If you split it, if you do, let's say they do Wembley and London, right? Because that's where they had SummerSlam. Let's say they do 1 night of WrestleMania in Wembley and London, 1 night in Saudi and in whatever in the fuck. But if they do that, it's going to look worse than it did this year, where one night's going to outshine the other night it's going to be exponential. The London show is going to be packed. It's going to have United States fans and probably have over 100,000 people in there. WWE will say it's 100,000 regardless of what the count is.
Right.
But Saudi will have 10. And it'll be a bunch of people that half-ass, know the storylines. They're not cheering as hard as the U.S. fan because they're not watching it the same way we are. It's going to make it look like it's going to be damn SmackDown on one night and Saturday night SmackDown one night and WrestleMania the second night.
They built a stadium in 30-something days for the Royal Rumble. Now, look, that's an incredible feat. I'll give them that. Did it look like a normal U.S.-based or overseas-based stadium, though?
No.
It looked off. It looked different.
Yeah.
The way they did the lights in the crowd, it was the same way that the first Raw on Netflix was done. It made it look like sometimes the crowd wasn't even in the seats.
Yeah, right. It looked empty the way they had it set up.
There's just some logistical challenges and stuff going on. I hope it's something like that over the whole WWE Club bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the WWE Club bullshit.
Unfortunately, that's what I think it is too. Now you mentioned the Royal Rumble that they had in Saudi, and I said when it happened, and I know I said it on this show, that was the dry run for Mania anyway.
Yeah.
So once they established that, I think that was all before the war. That was all before the conflict. Sorry.
Right.
That was before all that started. So
what do we call this bullshit? Bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. If you really want to call it, if you want to be honest, yes, that's what we call it. But I mean, that was the dry run. This episode's
getting flagged explicit.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the dry run, and it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't Mania special.
Right.
It wasn't supposed to be because it was a Rumble, but it still wasn't. But I digress on that. If they split the nights, like I said, one night's going to outshine the other night by far. Now, the third rumor that I heard, so we threw out what we know. We both know it's going to be WWE Club nonsense. Yeah. But the outstanding rumor that I heard that I want to bring to light, I heard it was going to be the announcing of WrestleMania 44, I guess.
For Tennessee.
Nashville. Yeah. Now, I'm kind of excited for that because we ain't far from Nashville.
No.
If there was a Mania that was realistic to go to, that would be the one.
So that's the key right there. The word realistic.
Yeah, so that's where we're going in the next segment when we start bitching about TKO again. That's the first thing I'm going to bitch about is that it's going to be 4 hours away in Nashville, but it's going to cost me $5,000 to go for a weekend. And I'm not going to pay $5,000 to go to WrestleMania. Let's
quickly talk about the two big matches that are happening at Backlash. Let's talk about Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker real quick. I actually like this match a lot. I'm not looking forward to it more than Roman's match, but I am looking forward to this match because of the intensity that Braun and Seth has kind of cranked this up to. Mm-hmm. My fear is this is going to be a traditional wrestling match. And the reason why I say that is because you're not going to have two big matches like this, both with extracurricular activities.
No, not so. You definitely can't.
One of these big matches has to be a strictly in-ring match, and I don't see that being Roman and Jacob's match. I see them kind of getting outside of the ring a little bit.
I don't know. So both matches have a lot of outside interference to introduce. Mm-hmm. I think I'm leaning more towards the Seth match introducing, let's say, Bronson Reed in the match. I feel like
let's hope so.
If there's any way possible for him to come back, that he gets back in this. He doesn't have to do much, right? He doesn't have to go out there and tsunami everybody. He doesn't. All he has to do is really go out there and do a one interference. What he don't need to do is wear a fucking hood when he goes out there.
No, please don't.
If he goes out there in a damn hoodie, I'm losing my shit.
Please don't.
And yeah, this show is absolutely getting flagged. But the more we talk about it, the more pissed off I get. If he comes out there in a hood, or damn it, if he calls somebody on the phone before he comes, I'm losing my mind.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully he comes back with that. But I mean, both matches have so much potential for shenanigans and outside interference and all that. It almost seems like it should be like a tag match where you just put all four of those guys in there and then bring in the other 100 extracurricular characters you got out there and just have a Donnybrook. But
I'm excited for the match. I think it's going to be a good match. Let's talk about Roman and Jacob. I like where they have gone with this. My one gripe about it though is the first time they showed me the Tongan death grip, I blew up instantly. I was like, oh, that's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
I was like, that move, we've not seen that move in so long.
Yeah.
I was like, that was great.
That died with WCW.
Like, that was fantastic.
Took that out.
Right. And then this past Friday Night SmackDown, it was Tongan death grip every 15 seconds. That's all you heard.
True,
Tongan
but,
death grip. The
but,
band
but
moved.
you saw Roman get out of it. Like, so you saw that it wasn't just an immediate shut me down move.
Right, but you saw him also get it back applied on him like 4 times. Like, I don't.
Well, that's how the match is going to go. So, I mean, it makes sense because you're going to see 15 spears and 5. Every match.
See that.
When they start up with the lockup, they might as well lock up in the Tongan death grip at this point because that's how, that's what you're going to see. So, I'm sorry to break it to you. Unless they catch this show before they sit down to produce this match, I feel like it's going to go from the lockup right into the death grip, 15 spears, 1 more death grip, 1 spear, and then it's all over.
Now, here's what I do believe we're going to get. That I'm my fingers crossed. I got my Booker hat on. I'm wishing, I'm hoping, I'm praying. This is what we get.
Okay.
I don't think Roman loses.
No.
I think Roman wins.
Way too soon for him.
I think Roman wins. I think Jay and Jimmy are going to wander down there. I think Jay's going to be the one that gets involved, helps Roman to win. Jimmy's going to be conflicted. Jimmy's not leaving his brother, though.
Jimmy's always confused.
He's always confused. He's not going to leave his
He ain't the thinker out of the group, is he?
He's a talker, though.
Yeah, he's definitely the talker.
But he ain't going to leave his brother. But that means Jacob. Who Jacob talking to on the phone?
Probably Triple H at this point, because, I mean, who the hell else could he be talking
to? Remember, I'm spinning mine into what I hope is going to happen.
Oh, okay.
So with Jacob, I hope it's Tama Tonga. And I hope, so you got 2. They need a third.
Do they?
They do, and I know who's waiting in the wings and been waiting for a year, and his ass ain't came to WWE yet.
Who's that?
Zilla Fatu.
So, but who does he side with? I mean,
with Jacob.
So everybody sides with Jacob.
No. You got Tama Tonga and Zilla Fatu with Jacob versus the Usos and Roman with them.
Yeah, but what about Tala Tonga and
him and Solo's on the wrong brand? They are
hell. Jacob's on that brand every Friday. I see more activity out of Jacob on Friday than I do on Monday.
Jacob might as well be a free agent right now.
Yeah, he's floating around like damn, like Obafemi was for a while there. He pops up on. I mean, he's on every show to interact with both sets of Samoans. I'm like, wait, what are we doing here?
$10 says that after Trick is done with Sammy, Solo's his next opponent.
Ugh. I don't know about that.
Either that or they got to pay Carmelo off.
I think they need to get into the Carmelo thing for the summer. I feel like Trick and Carmelo could carry WWE mid-card through the summer with no problem. Work that program all the way to SummerSlam.
Yep.
Putting Solo in that, Solo wouldn't be a bad character to get in that. The only reason I say that, though, is just because Solo brings the baggage of Tala Tonga and the MFTs and blah, 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 blah. And they wander into so much nonsense. Like, they just interacted with Royce Keys on Friday.
Right.
And Jacob Fatu. That's a good little program there. If you get Royce and Jacob together versus
now, I wouldn't mind seeing it be, Royce. But the only thing is, Royce and... So this is where they're at a crossroads and they're going to try to figure out what they want to do. Because with Roman, it's bloodline, right?
Yeah.
And even all the way down to Solo, it was about bloodline.
Yeah.
Right? Sammy came in as an honorary use.
Yeah.
It wasn't about bloodline. But with Sammy, it was about loyalty.
Yeah.
Which is what Roman wanted, right?
Right.
Okay, so if Jacob gets Royce into his fold, it's not about bloodline and at that point either, right?
Well, no.
It's more about streets.
Yeah, they're boys.
Shared experience, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to see Royce paired with Jacob. I mean, Royce paired with Jacob. I just don't know how they get there. I want to see it happen because I think it would be phenomenal if they get there.
So the easiest way I think they get there is obviously we're both in agreement that Jacob loses to Roman.
Unfortunately, as much as that hurts to say, because I love Jacob.
If it was anybody else besides
Roman,
Roman,
if it was Cody, I'd be like Jacob.
Oh yeah,
all
if it
day.
was Cody, I'd be right on the boat for that. I'd be like, give me another Samoan going over here. Give me all the positive. But the way I see it come out of that is so Jacob loses on Saturday. He has to acknowledge acknowledge Roman on Monday because, that's part of the deal. If you lose Roman, you got to acknowledge him.
Right.
Well, Jacob, at that point, he got nothing to do on Raw no more, which is why I think he's just a temporary fix on Raw anyway. But at that point, he's got to go back to SmackDown. Well, when he goes back to SmackDown, I feel like Solo is going to be right there to welcome him and then clown the hell out of him for losing to Roman.
Sick Tyler on him.
Yeah, and at that point, Jacob ain't going to get laughed at. Jacob ain't going to let you clown him.
Right.
He going to get into a fight. Well, now you got Solo and Tala, beating down Jacob. Well, Royce just got jumped last week by those guys, so he's looking for some payback.
Yep.
He gets involved. Well, now you got those four married to each other for the summer.
I like
that.
It.
Works. I can see that work. And now, where does Roman go on the other side? I believe you with that before we move into our last segment. Because if that happens, where does Roman go from there?
I think they set the seed for it with the backstage kind of dust up between Seth and Roman. I think you might get Seth and Roman at SummerSlam. I think that might be because who's obviously missing right now from Raw for the past 2 weeks? Who's been missing?
Well, that's CM Punk, but from what I heard, Punk ain't coming back to Raw. I heard Punk's got to make the jump over to the other side too. But I
think Punk is going to be the whisper in the ear of Cody.
I think Punk's going to be the guy that stands across the ring from Cody.
I agree, but I think he's going to be the whisper in the ear of Cody right now to get him through the Gunther stuff, and then eventually Punk's going to turn heel.
I could see that.
And then you're going to have a heel Punk against face Cody at SummerSlam.
I could see that.
And then you have Seth and Roman at SummerSlam.
Well, I was going to say, as I'm talking it out loud, I guess we don't really have to worry about where Roman goes after that because apparently Roman's off Raw for June.
Yeah,
so once we get done with Clash in Italy at the end of the month, we ain't got to worry about Roman till SummerSlam time anyway. So.
Speaking of that, let's get into the main topic.
Yeah.
So now
transition.
We've left Backlash and now we're into Whiplash.
Yeah. We're into what the hells.
So last week we talked a little bit about.
Hold on. First thing first, you got enough left in your glass. We got to pour a little out for our lost brethren, our lost brethren.
For the new day.
The new day.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Kofi, Woodsy, you have captivated us for many, many years, all the way down from the bootios to the pancakes to the trombone.
I mean,
to the unicorn hats.
All of it.
All of it. So
to the page, to the sorry.
So
I digress.
We appreciate you.
Now I told you. Remember, I said when Paige got rehired back, Woods had to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, there really wasn't no world where those two, if they stay on the brand together, even if they get caught backstage, in conflicting segments, the drama that comes out of that.
Yeah. So, but also within that release,
so that wasn't that wasn't a release.
That was a walk away.
Yeah, I was going to say that wasn't a fire. So apparently, they were
asked to restructure
their contract, to which they said, "Hell no."
Which is good on them for saying hell no, but at the same time, that's some bullshit right there for your boss to come to you and say, "Hey, a year ago we talked to you, and now we need to renegotiate the terms of the contract that we assigned a 3-year deal for."
Yeah,
but that's the thing with this bullshit.
I got my own opinion on that. And I got to voice it here real quick just because of that. So here's the problem I have with what New Day did right now. Again, they're their own men. They're going to make their own decisions. But here's the problem I got with it. WWE came to them and said, let's just follow the rumors. Let's not, we don't know the actual contractual stipulations they put out there and all that, but we're going to follow the rumors. Let's say WWE came to them and said, hey, we need to restructure your contract. We want to pay you 50% of what we're paying you right now, right? New Day said 50% of what you're paying me right now. That is some bullshit. So in turn, I'm gonna give y'all 100% of it back. Now I'm not gonna get nothing. So you were giving me $1 million. Now you're offering me $500,000. Well, you know what? Now I'm giving you all of it back. Now, hell, at this point, that is becoming a negotiating tactic for WWE, because had they approached R-Truth with that instead of the way they approached it with him, they may not have had to get the backlash to get him back, because he might not have wanted to come back.
So here's where that's a dangerous game. And look, we can all say that this is what we would do in the moments, and we can all say our shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But this is one man standing on his soapbox giving you his opinion right now. They come to me and they say, hey, we need to restructure your contract. Look, this happens everywhere.
Yeah. This is real life.
Especially like you look at NFL, this happens all the time in the NFL. Normally what happens though is, hey, we signed you for, the next 3 years for $3 million. Can we do 1.5 million a year and give you 6 years?
Yeah.
That's the same amount of money.
So you get there at the end.
And if you're lifers anyway, and you're happy and content, okay, sure. I'm going to stay here anyway till I retire, till my career's done. Yeah, we're not going to get the same in 3 years, but we're going to get the same in 6. It'll be all right. We're going to make it, right?
Yeah, the numbers sound right. The business part of it don't add up.
The part of it that's bullshit is if they came to them and said, hey, we need to renegotiate your contract. We know you got 2 more years going. We want to renegotiate for the next 2 years, but we need a 50% pay cut. Now, hold on a minute. Why? Why did you take me a year ago and negotiate something completely different in good faith because I had believability in you as a company? I agreed to that. The precedence that TKO is setting now, though, is even if you sign a contract with these freakers, it's not going to be honorable maybe in the next year. Who knows? So that's the part where me, as if I'm a professional wrestler, I'm an independent contractor. I got to look out for my worth. Yeah. Right? Bringing up Ted Turner. What did Ted Turner introduce into the landscape of professional wrestling? Guaranteed contract, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm Tony Khan, what am I offering these people over there right now in AEW?
I mean, so WWE has guaranteed contract now, and
did.
No, so they still do. And
I wouldn't say Woods and Kofi got a guarantee.
Right. So
contract.
this is where I said I have a problem with what they chose to do. Right. And it also leads me to the problem with the proposal that you laid out. Like you said, we'll pay you 1.5 over 6 years instead of 3 over 3. Well, if I've used 1 year of my career. If that money is the guaranteed contract, well, I'm not picking either one of your options. I'm not walking away and giving you all your money back. I'm not restructuring. I'm going to sit here. You do with me what you think is best. Call me every week and bring me in here. Don't call me every week. Don't bring me in here. I'm still going to get $3 million over the next 2 years. I'm not restructuring shit. I'm going to sit right on.
Sounds like they didn't have an option.
So they had to have an option. Otherwise, the contract wasn't written. It wasn't guaranteed in the first place.
That's essentially just buying them out, but sitting them on the couch. And I don't think TKO is going to waste the revenue to do that.
So
that's what Tony Khan does.
That's what WCW did. I mean, let's go back to the Ted Turner days, right? That's Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Rey Mysterio, name after name, Booker T, name after name after name, had these guaranteed AOL contracts. So separate of WWE, they had WCW, they had AOL contracts, so they were scheduled to get paid regardless. And those guys sat on their keisters and waited until them contracts ran out before they renegotiated and figured out something else. If we come out down the road, if we find out that there was something different that New Day and these other talents having their contract, then we'll have to revisit it. But my understanding is of TKO's contracts, they're set to be guaranteed. And if they're set to be guaranteed, that means that Woods and Kofi could have sat on their keisters for the next
and drew that money
2 years and got paid. Yeah. Now, after 2 years, we'll figure out what we want to do then. Because hell, they're only 2 years older at that point. They ain't on the back end of time. And I would have happily sat my ass on the couch and got paid for 2 years.
So they got released.
And then we would have figured it out.
So they got released. Do you think they have non-compete clauses?
So yeah, that was the saying, at least what everybody's basing on is because they got released, they get a non-compete. The only way you don't get a non-compete is if your contract runs out. So they would have had to outlast their contract, and then you could go to work tomorrow, day one, right? But when you get released, that's what happened with Andrade. The problem that happened with him, when he got released or negotiated his release, he popped up on AEW TV. Well, then they said, wait a minute, you can't pop up on AEW TV. So they walked into a little bit of legal problem there. At this point, New Day is going to have that same legal problem. They're going to have to probably wait 90 days. Now, you get paid for those 90. So, it's been like you're sitting there with no income. But if you're going to sit on your ass for 90 days and get paid for your non-compete, I'd have sat on my ass for 730 days and got and non-competed. And I'd have watched Raw, SmackDown. I'd have bought all the damn streaming services because I'd have been collecting $3 million a year to sit on my ass and watch those PLEs.
So also the rumor is there was a bunch more talent backstage that was asked to take 50% pay cuts. Some actually took them.
Yeah, we haven't heard any specifics, though.
We haven't heard any specifics.
I'm real anxious to hear who took one.
I hate to even speculate that because, look, as a working professional, I know these guys are doing what they love for a career.
Yeah.
And that's great and fantastic.
Yeah.
It just figures out, though, that the people that kind of own your contract, so to speak, don't love what you're doing for a career. They're just in it for the business.
Yeah.
And again, the business side of me, completely understand it, completely get it.
From their perspective.
I get it.
Yeah.
But as a wrestling fan, this sucks.
It absolutely sucks.
This really does suck. And here's where I'm at. And I know that we got to wind this thing down here in a few minutes, but here's where I'm at as a wrestling fan. There's not one part of me that could ever walk away from the sport of professional wrestling. I am a fan through and through. I am a fan at my core. This isn't some fandom that's been 5 years in the making. Marky Mark here is 45 years old.
Yeah.
He started loving the sport of professional wrestling at 5. I've got 40 years into this.
I was 6, so I got about 40 in there too. So.
There's no way, shape, or form that I'm ever going to walk away from the sport of professional wrestling.
Nope. We ain't doing this podcast for the check. Let's put it like that, right?
No. But here's where I'm at as a fan.
We could be.
Yeah,
we could be. If the check is right, yeah.
But here's where I'm at as a fan. Where I'm at as a fan, this is the go-away heat that some wrestlers get where you just want them off your damn TV.
Yeah.
You don't want to see them no more. You're tired of it. You don't want to see it. I don't even want to hear their voice. Yeah. I don't want to read nothing about them. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right now, in my book, TKO's got go-away heat.
Yeah.
I'm done with them. I'm ready to be.
Their business decisions are just, they're not for the true wrestling fan. They're not here to support us.
And you may even be going, Marky Mark, why are you buying into all the hype? You reading all the Twitter nonsense. It's the IWC this. No.
Yeah, we're starting to see the ramifications. So New Day was one of those staples in WWE that where you get your comfort food, or if you got a comfort movie, like when you're down or you're sad or whatever, but you could throw on XYZ movie and it's going to get a laugh out of you.
Right.
That had turned into New Day for me. Yeah, I knew they weren't going to be WWE champions anymore. I knew they weren't the top tier tag team in WWE anymore. Yep. But I remember the good times with New Day, and I don't want to give those up just yet. It's kind of like when Truth got released. You look at the comedy that he brings and says, God, I don't want to lose this. Even though now you've got Danhausen and you've got other comedic acts or whatnot. Well, I didn't want to lose Truth. So we spoke out against it. Well, now the same thing's happening with New Day. And I mean, first, it's a Triple H thing, so we're not going to point out that they're all black. But that's neither here nor there. Man. We'll get to that at another episode. But what we are going to show is it's starting to become an epidemic of the guys that we grew up on, the guys that we've followed for the last umpteen years or whatever, are just being cast to the wayside like they're yesterday's news. And it's like these guys are the main part of the reason why all these fans are watching. Now you just forget about them, and that's a hard pill to swallow.
It just goes to show. And I will say this, and this will be the hill that I die on. It works this way in corporate America these days. Works this way in sports these days.
Yeah.
Loyalty don't mean shit.
No, that's out the window, unfortunately.
And these fellas have been in that company for 16 years.
Uh-huh.
And they had been to the highest peaks, and they've been to the lowest valleys.
Yeah.
Especially with all the shit they've been through with Big E.
Yeah.
But now to see them boys done this way,
it
makes you sit back as a fan and just look at TKO and go, them dirty bastards.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes you go there. And look, I'm always the guy that's going to try to see the positive side of things. I try my best. And I love what I'm seeing on my TV for the most part.
Yep.
I'm loving Oba. I'm loving Trick. I'm loving the Danhausen crap. I'm loving all of these new players that they bring into the ring.
Yep.
But if they got to bring the new players up and sacrifice the old hats, that's hurting. That's hard.
Well, in the moment, TKO is looking at it as a business decision, but down the road, the longer overcasted ramifications are what they aren't looking at. And I think that's where they're going to start to understand where these missteps happen, but I'm just hoping it's not too late.
All right, everybody. This is where we are. in the state of the WWE and TKO right now, we whiplashing. We got all kinds of things going on.
Think about the highs and lows we went through on this show. You know, we started out on a downturn, then we went real high and got excited about Backlash.
Been rough.
Now we're back on the.
I need another glass of the sponsor.
I'm gonna need a neck brace in a minute. Does Bobby Heenan got one of them old neck braces still hanging around somewhere? Because holy hell!
On that note, we're gonna bring the show to the close. Thank you for everybody for listening to today's episode, and with that, we bid you adieu.
Peace. Oh, and I saw Tiffany Stratton on it.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.